Marcia Williams hasn't seen her son in more than 8 years. Do you have any hope your son is still alive?
I don't believe that Terrence is alive. At this point, I have to find out what happened to him.
What happened to Terrence Williams is anybody's guess. He was last seen outside this Naples, Florida cemetery on January 11, 2004, with this man, Sheriff's Deputy Steve Calkins.
Investigators say Calkins' story about meeting Terrence Williams here at the cemetery just doesn't add up. At one point, Calkins said he pulled Terrence Williams' car over because it was having problems. But when he called his friend in dispatch, he reported the car had been abandoned. He never let on he'd had any contact with the driver, Terrence Williams.
I got a homie Cadillac on the side of the road here, signal 11, signal 52, nobody around. Maybe he's out there in the cemetery. He'll come back and his car will be gone.
But if the driver was not around, how then was Deputy Calkins able to run a background check using Terrence's name and birth date?
Last name? Williams. Time of spelling. Date of birth? 4/1/75. Like now.
Yet just 4 days later, Calkins claims to remember nothing of the car or the driver. Listen to what he says when a sheriff's dispatcher calls him at home.
She had a car from Vanderbilt to 111th Monday, a Cadillac. Do you remember it?
No.
Do you remember? She said it was near the cemetery.
Cemetery.
And the people at the cemetery are telling her you put somebody in the back of your vehicle and arrested them, and I don't show you arresting anybody.
I never arrested nobody.
Isn't that amazing? He's a seasoned veteran, and he couldn't remember 4 days later?
So you don't buy that?
No, it's not true. It's not true at all.
8 days after Terrence vanished, Deputy Calkins was ordered to write a report. And it's in this report that a different story emerges. Deputy Calkins says he drove the 27-year-old father of 4 to this nearby Circle K, where he says he thought Terrence worked. And it's that version of events that concerned investigators, because just months earlier, they'd heard the same story from Deputy Calkins about another missing man. 23-year-old Filipe Santos vanished October 14, 2003, after Deputy Calkins responded to the scene of a minor accident involving Santos. He issued Santos a citation and put him in the back of his sheriff's car. Santos's brother, who was also at the scene, asked we hide his face out of fear for his own safety.
Did Deputy Calkins tell you where he was taking your brother?
The officer never told us anything. Later we went to the jail and my brother wasn't there.
When Calkins was questioned about Filipe Santos, an undocumented worker, he told investigators he dropped Santos off at a Circle K. Sheriff's investigator Kevin O'Neill.
We have no independent corroboration of anybody telling us that they saw Williams or Santos at one of these Circle Ks. That's strictly Calkins' testimony. And I think we can add up where we could put his testimony at this point.
O'Neill says neither of the missing men was ever seen on Circle K security cameras. And there's more.
About a month after Terrence Williams disappeared, Steve Calkins gave a sworn statement during an interrogation. He told investigators he had called this Circle K, where he says he dropped Terrence Williams off. He told investigators he made that call from his work-issued Nextel phone. But when investigators said they'd pulled his phone records and told him there was no record of a call to this Circle K from his cell phone, he brushed it off, saying simply, quote, "I don't know what to tell you."
You've been doing this for a long time. You know when something doesn't smell right. Do you think that Deputy Calkins had anything to do with the disappearance and possible death of these 2 men?
He's absolutely in the middle of the investigation. Everything I turn to brings me right back to Steve Calkins.
Months after Santos and Williams went missing, Deputy Calkins, a 16-year veteran, was fired for lying in connection with the investigation of Terrence Williams. Calkins hasn't been charged with a crime because no criminal evidence was ever found linking Calkins to the disappearances. In the case of Terrence Williams, investigators say the deputy's car was searched and described as immaculate. Calkins' home was never searched because, according to investigators, they didn't have the evidence needed for a search warrant. We wanted to ask Steve Calkins some questions, but couldn't get past this woman.
Hello? Yes. Hi.
In 2006, Calkins did tell a local paper he didn't do anything wrong, blaming the coincidences of the missing men on very bad luck. He suggested maybe they ran away.
If Terrence was alive, Terrence would have had somebody to contact his mother. I know for sure that's one thing that he would do in a heartbeat. Call my mama.
Randi Kaye, CNN, Naples, Florida.